Welcome to the Hockey Writers Inc., the show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. With a great glove save, our resident goalie turned writer has given us a great piece about a long-lost son coming back to Philly. Relax, the keyboard is off, the press box is closed, but the mic is just getting warmed up with yet another great article with what the Flyers could do in the very near future.
Hi guys, welcome back to another edition of the Hockey Writers Inc. I'm your host, Lance Green.
And I'm your co-host, Steel Flyers. And oh my gosh, we've got another great one lined up for you today, folks. Lance, man, we've just been kicking it, just been rolling with it. The show's been doing great. Thanks very much for all the work that you do, man. We wouldn't be able to have such a great show if it wouldn't be such all your great articles that you get to post out there, you know. Would also like to give the Hockey Writers Inc. salute to Jamey Baskow and the FlyersNittyGritty.com group, and for all of their help, all their support, for posting our site on their page and then helping us to make Bleacher Reports for the 16th week in a row. Every week we put a show out, it makes the Bleacher Reports, so thank you very much for that. We would also like to thank our sponsor, Canine Country Club Resorts. They take care of all your pets' needs, from daycare to spa treatments and even pool time. Check them out on the web at www.cccresorts.com. So, Lance, what do you think, man? You got two really good ones you posted out there this week. You actually been posting a lot lately. The last couple of weeks here, you've been putting a lot of articles out there, and man, it's like I try to scramble around to just pick out the best stuff. You know what I mean? So we got two really great ones here, and we're calling this one Flyers Bring Home a Long Lost Son. And is it possible? Could it be? If it's McWorld, if we could have our way, we'll see. Lance's latest great piece posted to FlyersNittyGritty.com just yesterday. Isn't it about time the Flyers bring home Bobby Ryan to Philadelphia? And I think that could be a real possibility for the Flyers. What do you think there, Lance?
I think it could be for sure. That's why I wrote the piece. I think a lot of people are down on Bobby Ryan at this point in his career. A lot of people don't think he has a lot left in his tank. A lot of people haven't been following him this year. And I would say if you haven't, maybe you need to look up his stats. Okay. He is leading Detroit in goals and points this year. Okay. Yes, it's Detroit. Yes, they're a bad team, but this is where you get guys to add to your depth. Okay. He's not going to come in and play a first line role for the Flyers. Okay, he's 33 years old at this point. He's not capable of that at the level that the Flyers want to compete. Okay, but he could be a depth forward for us, and that is the type of guy that you grab off of these teams that are definitely not going to make the playoffs and that are born sellers at this point in the year. Those are the teams you grab from. A lot of people said, I want this guy, I want that guy. Well, that's great, but those guys aren't going to be available because they play on a contender right now. There's no way in the world, unless you give up the whole farm, that they're going to trade somebody that's going to be in contention for the Stanley Cup right now. That's not going to happen.
And that doesn't sit well with the Hockey Writers Inc. crew either.
Right.
Yeah, you're not trading away the farm for one guy who's going to potentially be a loner, or even, whatever the case is going to be. Look, I know you mentioned a lot about what Ryan is capable of in your article. What do you think he brings to the table for the Flyers? I mean, can you get into some of that? I mean, I know you mentioned a lot about the stats, and you even discussed it there in the opening too, about the fact that he's leading Detroit in points. But what exactly would he bring to the table for the Flyers?
Well, I think he brings experience. He brings another veteran leader into the locker room.
Yeah.
The team as they stand now, besides Drew, besides Voracek, are a very young team. And, when you enter the playoffs, you want somebody that's been there and done that before, and he has. And, he is just another depth guy that could be added to there for a very cheap sum. He's making only $1 million this season. And at this point in the year, we would only have to pay a fraction of that because, Detroit's already paid most of that this season already.
And we're almost halfway
So
mark too, so
So, if you put it into perspective, a guy like Michael Raffo, who plays on the fourth line, makes 1.6 million. So we would get a guy who's leading a team in points and leadership, and he's taking on that role this season as a leader, yes, but as a coach or a teacher on the
yeah,
ice as well to a lot of the younger guys
yeah,
that they have in Detroit. Obviously, we know Detroit hasn't been the Detroit that we knew of in the 90s for some time now. Detroit has a lot of young players like the Flyers do that are getting coached every day in the locker room right now by Bobby Ryan to on and off ice issues that they see and are coming up and trying to gain an understanding as they come into the league. So
yeah.
this is a role that he hasn't necessarily took on before, but has since realizing that he is that guy that could bring some knowledge to these young players. And that's where he would also help out the Flyers as well.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be expecting him to be out there playing, you know, a top 5, 6, top 6 minutes. Obviously,
Right.
no. He's going to be that, fourth line. Maybe he'll come up to the third line, or he might be that penalty kill guy, or that guy. You know what I mean? He's able to play in some of those situations and stuff like that. Look, the guy's won the Masterson Award. Okay, so his issues and everything that's happened to him has been very well documented. Okay, and I don't know about you, but I always have. It always does me really good to see people climb out of their issues and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And that is not a good pit to climb. That's a hard pit to climb out of. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And a lot of players deal with it, and it's nice to be able to see somebody come through and say, "Yes, this is what I was dealing with, and I'm coming through this." But I also love to see the fact that he's making, he's doing it. He's doing it with Detroit. You know, Sometimes the road to the NHL is hard, and for Ryan, it's just no different. And you point out a lot of facts in the article about just about where he came from. Why don't you give us a little background about some of that, just to kind of refresh us?
For sure. Bobby Ryan wasn't even born Bobby Ryan. He was born Bobby Stevenson. And he was a Cherry Hill native, and he grew up playing hockey here. His dad was one of those guys that pushed Bobby very hard from 5 a.m. practices, private coaching, lessons on ice and off ice, playing on every single, ice slot he could to get him to be pushed to the level that he is and has reached in his career. And he dealt with some adversity and I had to get over a lot of things where his dad actually came home drunken mistake one night and thought his wife was doing something that she wasn't and assaulted her very badly, broke her,
Yeah,
skull, deflated a lung, something like that along that line, wound her up in the hospital for an extended period of time. He was subsequently arrested and decided to flee prosecution and fled to California. He ended up in, and
now this is his
you know
dad.
this is his
Oh
dad.
my
This is his dad,
gosh,
and
jeez.
and
And
Bobby
how
was at
old
a
is he? He's like what?
yeah,
High
8 or 9,
school? Oh, eight
not
or not,
even,
even younger.
not
Oh my
even, even
gosh,
even younger.
jeez.
And
Okay,
Bobby had to deal with this
yeah,
growing up, and his mother and him not wanting to break up the family. His mother actually listened in to his Bobby's father at this time, and traveled out to California in the middle of the night, leaving the area, fleeing the area so that his family could be as one again. And they changed their name once they got out to California,
wow,
and tried. He started right back, with the extensive workouts and stuff out there. And a player as Bobby's level, he was a little flyer, here in Cherry Hill, area, and he went out there and played in the same big tournaments and stuff like that, where he saw some New Jersey natives again that he used to play with and against, and they started putting two and two together, and ended with Bobby's dad slipping up a little bit and getting caught by the FBI, raiding his house, and SWAT team entering his house when Bobby's sitting on the couch, watching all of this, watching his dad be thrown into cuffs and taken into custody,
Man.
thrown in jail for a number of years. And Bobby's mom was forced to work 3 different jobs, I think, to
Keep
still
everything
allow
rolling
him to,
there, yeah.
keep everything rolling. And
You know,
you know,
that's a
Bobby
testament
was
to his mom too.
yeah, definitely. And Bobby was still drafted, went and played juniors and was still drafted
Wow.
number 2 overall by the Anaheim Ducks. And
Wow.
his dad actually didn't bother to listen to a probation officer that he was out at that time, and decided to join his family
I'm
at the
noticing a
draft in
pattern
Canada.
here.
So so yeah, I mean he's been through a lot, and even to this day his family is still torn. It's he's helped out his family. He bought his dad Bobby Clark's gym in Jersey that he owned, and now his dad tries to help out local kids and stuff like that, and still put him on the path that he put Bobby on to success. And it's working, but it's still not 100%. So he's been through a lot, and with that, he's went through the league's substance abuse program last season, and
Yeah.
he had to battle with alcoholism and different
Yeah.
stuff like that. And but he's proven in Detroit, as you said, that he's come back, and he's now playing at a very high level again, and he's very open about it, and so that he can potentially help out people that are going through this, or players that have gone through similar stuff, and shown that you can come out on top.
Exactly. And the fact that he won the Masterson Award is something that, you know, it was between him and Oscar Lindblom.
Definitely.
And that's why I think that this is one of those special players where you have to kind of take notice to somebody like this. Because look at what Oscar Lindblom came through. Okay. I'm not even going to remotely compare the two at all because you can't.
You can.
You can't. One is completely and utterly mental and psychological. The other is physiological and physical. Where you don't have a choice in cancer.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's no. There's just you don't have a choice in that. You know what I mean? And so I don't know, man. I'll tell you, I do like his leadership. I like his experience. He does have. The guy's got freaking skills.
Right.
To be coached like that from such a young age, you would think, and to be drafted that high and everything like that. And to be that cheap, I really think he could bring something to the Flyers, and I think that would be a really cool story if Ryan came to the Flyers.
I think it would be good, and I want to say this: a lot of people commented on the article and stuff like that, and they were saying, well, our main focus is defense. We need defense. We don't need another winger. Okay, well, to that I would say maybe you're right. Obviously, I've written countless articles on the need for a physical defenseman, the need for
And we
established
have
veteran
talked
defenseman.
at nauseum about
Right.
a list as long as my arm of defensive players that,
Yes.
that the Flyers could be getting or looking
Right.
at.
Right. And obviously there's a need for that. We all know that.
Yeah,
Even the person that's just tuning in for the first season of watching, getting into the game knows that.
yeah.
Okay. But is one defenseman really going to put us and elevate us to the level of, say, Boston or Tampa Bay? I don't think so, folks. We just barely beat a Sabres team without Jack Eichel in the lineup. Okay. So I do not think we're at that level. I think it is going to take more than just one defenseman, possibly a couple pieces, if we want to compete at that level for a Stanley Cup this season. And that's why I brought this article out. And it's another little piece, a guy that comes with a smaller salary cap push, and could be that extra piece to push us over that top
I'm
after we
with
get a
you.
defenseman.
Yeah, I'm so with you because look, there's way more pieces here than what everybody is really thinks is going on here. Okay, and we don't just, and you're right, one defenseman is not going to make it, and but if you add a defenseman and a winger, now you got something different here. You know what I'm saying? Look, we talked about this on some other shows, and we're going to get into this in a little segment we have coming up later about some questions that I want to ask, and we have a little special segment here we want to get into. But I wanted to thank CCC Resorts, our sponsor for the Steel Flyers All Sports Network. I would also like to thank them for sponsoring this show and being part of what we're doing here, and we really appreciate that. And we're going to show a quick little commercial here and let you guys take a look about just the services that CCC Resorts does offer. And we'll be right back after this. Greetings. This is Steel Flyers from the Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and we have two very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of two locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. Taking care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. And both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God. Hey, all right. Thank you very much for checking out our sponsors. That's www.cccresorts.com. Check them out for all your needs for daycare and all kinds of pool time and everything for your pets. Check them out, boy. They're great little place there for your daycare. Steel Flyers dog goes there, so check that out. Great place for your pets. Well, Lance, I'll tell you what, man. We got another great one here to get into, and I love the way you write, man. I just do. I love all the stuff that you put out there, man. It's this is why we do this show. And this second article, an inexpensive, unrestricted free agent of Flyers should be keeping an eye out for next season. You hit this one out of the park, my man. This article posted to FlyersNittyGritty.com earlier this week. Lance, I just love how you get to the heart of the issue. What Look, we know that the draft is the supplemental draft is coming up here for the
expansion draft for the Seattle Kraken, yeah.
And the two players that you zero in on for the Flyers that potentially, protecting Raffl and or Lawton. Do you think that the Flyers are going to do that?
I think both those players are going to be left open. I'm a little scared. Both are expiring contracts, so which is good. They don't want to always pick a player. They got to fill out a team.
Yeah.
But you got to think a team only consists of so many players that are actually making NHL lineup every night.
Yeah.
So they have a good amount, probably a good 10 other picks where they can be a little risky. And from what I see, a guy like Scott Lawton is going to be pretty enticing if he's left unprotected. So that's what I would really hate to lose.
Yeah.
And you can only protect so many players. So, your Giroux, your Voraceks in that matter are going to have to be protected. You're going to protect Provorov. You're going to protect probably Myers or Sanheim, at this point on the back end. You got to protect Hart. So some of these players, the Flyers are pretty well depth-wise, but they could still get better. But somebody like him could be unprotected and with an expiring contract and still go and still be selected and be enticed by that to sign a deal with Seattle because they can offer him more money than the Flyers have right now. They could offer him a leadership role
and more term,
maybe more term than the Flyers could offer because the Flyers have so many players like Carter Hart, Sanheim, Nolan Patrick that they have to resign and that are going to have to be paid more lucrative contracts.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So than what they are right now. So that is a threat for me that you got to keep in the back of your mind if you're Chuck Fletcher and have a backup plan in case that somebody does, get selected that you weren't predicting to be that person taking, or maybe that person that you would want somebody to take in order to negate or relieve you from having to pay them so much money.
Right. No, I'm with you. Of all the choices, though, I think I would be okay with letting Raffl go. Lawton was protected the last expansion draft. You know what I mean? And I think for very good reason. We have lauded exactly what that did for him. You wrote an article about it, exactly how well that worked for him. I think that the Flyers have too much invested in Scott Lawton to just let him go away in an expansion draft for nothing. Okay, I don't care if he's unsigned or not. I think he's gonna have to be one of them guys that he's gonna have to be signed. Okay, guys like there's other guys out there that I would be okay letting go as far as like that. Raffl would be one of them.
Well, I think Raffl's less enticing for a team. He's 32 years old,
right,
and he's a fourth-line player that makes $1.6 million now, and they have a brand new cap to start with, so they can sign whoever they want, really. But a guy like that's 26 years old, and Scott Lawton, who's coming on, and
Yeah, play up and down
you
the
know
lineup and face-offs
all
and
all
power
the
plays
things
and yeah,
all the things that we penalty kills, yeah,
yeah,
as well. All the things that we've said about him before. He might not be protected this time around because of the fact that he we do have more players now that have come off the rookie deals that are becoming more suited
yeah,
players that we're going to have to protect. We're going to have to protect Konechny. We're going to have to protect, JVR. Would you want to lose him right now? He's, leading the
yeah.
league, top 10 in points for so long and
You
different
don't want to
stuff.
know
So
the list,
yeah, it's
Lance. You don't want to
not
know
good.
my list of ones that I think should be protected and ones that I think should not be protected.
We could do a whole show on that for,
Yeah, we probably should.
and we might at some time
I'm
here,
sure.
but I think you got to have a player in the back of your mind, and that's why I picked a guy like Goudreau from Tampa Bay here because he does have an expiring contract.
So
He
he's on
is
that same level that
right,
Raffle and Lawton are on because they're both going to be
right.
expiring contracts. Now, is Goudreau? I can't place if you said if he's an unrestricted free agent or if he's a restricted free
Yeah,
agent.
no. He is an unrestricted free agent this year. He's 28 years old.
Okay.
Barclay Goudreau. He's 6'2".
Yeah.
He plays center. He plays wing. He's 215 pounds. He is more physical. He's good with his hands.
Yes.
And he is willing to protect all those star players. This is
Yes.
a guy that, Tampa Bay went out and got
Mhm.
from the Sharks via trade. For just that reason. He brings that physicality that they lacked the year before when they got bounced out of the first round after winning the President's Trophy for
The year
being the
before.
best team.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they went out and got this guy, and he came in and did just that. He allowed to stand up for his players.
Yeah.
He took the pressure off of those guys so they could just go do that. And he also brought some offense and has some timely goals like Scott Lawton can do.
Yeah.
He doesn't score 20 goals a season, but he does put in timely goals when they are needed, folks.
Yeah.
And the best thing about it is he's only making $925,000 this season,
Which is a huge break.
which is less than we're paying Raffle right now to play a fourth line role, and I guarantee you this guy would fit in nicely on a third line role, just like Lawton does, and play up and down the
Yeah.
lineup when necessary
Yeah.
due to injuries or what, just like Lawton does. So if
Yeah.
we lose him, this is a guy that the Flyers
Potentially.
might want to potentially keep an eye on and bring in, because I'll tell you what, Tampa Bay is worse off cap wise than we are. Next season, they are already predicted to be $3.5 million over the cap. So they're going to be struggling to find ways to dump cap. And this guy, is deserving of a raise, and they might not be willing or able to give him such raise. So that's
Yeah.
why I say a guy like this, if you look at the article on Flyers Nitty Gritty, I put in some videos from YouTube and different sites that you can obviously see what he brings to the table, and he is
Yeah.
quick. He's going to go after that guy as soon as they
Yeah.
lay a dirty hit on somebody, and is fearless. He'll fight anybody. He may not win them all, but he is going to make sure you
Yeah.
know that he's there and he's not willing to take crap from anybody.
This is one of the things that we've talked about multiple times on the show. You've written multiple articles about this, and this is one of those particular players that would be that particular person or that particular player that could be that policeman that we've so coveted, that we so talk about, that we so wish it could be on the team. And I would be okay with losing a Raffle to get somebody like him. I would be okay with losing a Lawton to get somebody like him because he's got a cup.
Yes.
Okay, and so that right there, when you bring cups to a team, that does nothing but make things better.
Right.
Because
That did well when we brought in Niskanen, who has been there, done that before.
Exactly. This guy would definitely meet that criteria. He's got the size. He's got the skill. It would then free up. Look, I'm going to go on record right now and say that I think the whole switching around of Moran to wing and all that is just the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay, I don't get that. Okay, that's like asking a kicker to go,
Play
go out,
linebacker.
play linebacker or something. How many kickers are going to go out there and play linebacker and be like, all right, let's go, bring it.
Yeah, maybe that would have worked if you tried that with Paul Coffey or Mark Howe,
or if your kicker was that dude from the Raiders, that Janikowski guy who was built like a freaking linebacker.
Right. So yeah, that's the case. I mean, it was a great ploy to get some physicality, possibly on the front end, but it's just not going to work out that quick. And
nope.
Honestly,
it's wasting time.
Moran's been playing great defense for the Phantoms, and that's just where he needs to be. There's so many different people out there, and I'm actually working on an article right now that states one of the latest
breaking news.
I don't want to give away too much, but it's just another guy that has left the organization that most people wouldn't even know who he was, and he's succeeding elsewhere in the NHL right now. So, we squander some people that we shouldn't, and that's just a habit.
Guess.
Okay, well, don't give that
away.
All
right, I won't. I'll wait till we're off the show, and I'll give you my guess then. All right?
Yes.
Is that
right.
fair?
That sounds good.
All right. Okay. But I think I know who. I think I know you're talking about.
Right.
But I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
Because I really didn't want to see that particular player. But anyway. All right. Look, I'm with you on this, Gaudreau. I'm with you on any one of these players that we have suggested or that you have suggested in your articles as far as a number of players that could be brought in here to help things out. You know what I mean? This is just another of that long list that we're going to add to. Excuse me, Mr. Fletcher. It's for you. Clue phone. Pick that up, buddy.
And I think recently AV has come out and basically let it be known that he wants a defenseman, and he is expecting one if he wants to still be considered a playoff team. He thinks that's what they need, and he's not wrong in that sense. But I think like I said before, I think it's going to take more than just one defenseman.
I agree.
To turn this team around. This is a very tough division that the Flyers have been placed in with COVID protocols and all that stuff. And, there's some other teams that we're not seeing on a nightly basis, like Tampa Bay, that is that much more scarier than I think, only the likes of Boston are on that level, and the Flyers can't consider themselves on that level right now, and they need to make some major changes. They need to make some shake-ups in the lineup for sure to get the point across to some of the other ones, because they're just not with it in my mind.
If the Flyers continue to play this way, they're going to find themselves they are currently outside looking in. They're in 5th place, and they are, I believe, 7 points back. That does not bode well when each game is a 4-point swing, and the teams that are ahead of you are the teams that you are losing to.
Yeah, and even the teams that you're winning against, you can't give them that 1 point, because that 1 point adds up.
Exactly, because hey, look, like I said, you don't want to know what my list would be. It might be long and it might be lengthy, but anywho, so we had a very special little segment here that I wanted to get to. Look, first of all, I want to say this, Lance. Look, we could talk about this all freaking day long, and we have on numerous episodes about a number of players that could be brought in here to help this team. I really think that there's been some bad or some mismanagement of money in the last season and some of the last couple of signings. There's been some good signings, but there's been some bad ones. Okay, and I think everybody knows kind of where I stand. I'm not a fan of Braun, and I'm not a fan of continually putting him in the lineup and expecting good things, and still nothing is happening. I'm tired of seeing the same guys in the lineup in the defensive side and expecting something to happen, and it's just not. Okay, and you can't keep doing that. So, all right, I'm off my box now. So, we tried to do a little segment here. It's called Got a Question segment. And Lance and I will answer your questions that you submit to our website at www.steelflyers.com/links/hockeywritersinc. Or you can submit the questions to at steelflyers52 on Twitter. And Lance, your handle is?
LNGBASSIST, the number's 39.
Yes. So every once in a while, we'll try to do these segments here to get your questions answered. And on our very first segment, we had a great fan on Twitter that goes by the handle of Clarky Teacher. And I believe he follows quite a few of us. And he had 3 great questions that I would like for us to kind of tackle. So what do you think? You ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah, he gave us some juicy ones too, man. So a big thank you to Clarky Teacher for your submission of the questions. You definitely qualify for the Hockey Writers Inc. salute for submitting your questions, and we're going to get right into it, okay? Question number 1, trade proposal for Gaudreau, and it does not include Frost. A trade proposal for Gaudreau that does not include Frost.
Well, I think I wrote an article suggesting, a possibility of bringing Johnny Hockey in, hopefully sooner rather than later, waiting around for him to hit free agency before, where I discussed a proposal anyway. Okay, Johnny Hockey, it makes $6.75 million.
Mm-hmm.
He's owed that this season and next, I believe.
Yes.
Where I think you start there, obviously, Calgary knows Johnny has not made it been known before that he would like to come to Philly. He's again, from the area. His family still lives here. He grew up being a Flyers fan. And, I think you got to start out with a first-round pick. In my mind, you got to look at the recent trade activity with maybe Patrick Laine and such, with Jack Roslovic going to Columbus and what they had to pay up. So I think a first-round pick would start that out. I think if you gave him a prospect, the one going that way that they would want would be Igor Zumala. And that one would hurt a little bit, but I think you got Cam York and others and Wyatt Wiley, and I could name Millman and a bunch of other guys that are there as well. So it wouldn't hurt as much. Yeah. But the reason why they would want him is because, Zumala played for Calgary Hitmen in junior hockey, and he was right in their backyard for a number of years. And I think they're kicking themselves that they weren't the ones to go ahead and sign him before Hextall did. Okay, but with that being said, I think you still can't just magically add $6.75 million if you wanted to obtain him. Okay, the Flyers don't have that much cap space. So you would have to send somebody with a significant amount of cap space back to Calgary. And, that's going to be the hard one, guys. You have guys that are well above that 6.7 where with Giroux and Voracek, and then you have guys that are, around that with JVR. Are you going to send JVR? I wouldn't think so. He's made a miraculous turnaround from last season. Are you going to send Konechny back? Their numbers are close. So I think that in lies the tough part of the trade, what you're going to send back. But definitely, I would love Johnny Hockey to come in here, 5-time NHL All-Star. I think he would be that. I don't like necessarily the smaller guys, but he is that elusive to be able to get away from guys, and he is that dangler, that Pavel Datsyuk, if you will, with the puck to be able to weed right through him. He's a finisher. He can finish, and that's what the team needs.
Exactly.
I think I would rather have him more so if you're going to go out there and swing for the fences for somebody than others.
Let's swing. Let's swing then. All right. Why not? Let's swing. Let's give him a first round. Let's give him Lawton, right?
It's an expiring contract, yeah, but he
Yeah,
is enticing. He's still 26 or
right.
whatever.
Okay, because we got to try to get something for Lawton or something, or try to sign Lawton and then try to put him in as part of that trade, because Lawton's going to need a pretty good, significant raise, and you know what I mean, kind of that
He's
kind of deal.
deserving.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly, exactly. I would not necessarily. I mean, that's the other problem too. And then here's the other thing too. The new coach now, Daryl Sutter, is the Calgary coach now, and he's going to be looking for guys, and he's going to be looking for picks, and if he can get rid of somebody who they know that wants out, and if they can get a first round draft pick from somebody that's going to be willing to then also give them a top prospect like a Zumala, and then also try to unload a little bit of cap or whatever the case is going to have to be, or how that's going to have to work. I could see that. I could see that happen. I would not even have a problem if they threw Voracek in there with that deal.
I mean, I think Voracek would be the guy to move. Obviously, Claude Giroux is the captain, and he's been there. He's going to probably retire there. I know some people don't really like Giroux as much, but he has done it. His numbers are there compared
Top
to
five in
the
points every year that he's been playing. So I mean, come on.
yeah, he's there, but essentially himself and Voracek are the same person. You need a finisher, so he could go, but I don't know if the Flyers would at that point,
Yeah.
or even if Calgary would want
Okay.
him because he is getting up there in age as well.
Okay. So now, yeah, I think we got pretty well around that. I think we did all right with that one. So now here's the next one, and quote unquote from Clarky Teacher. Well, let's double down Eichel, but you can include Frost in that one. So a trade proposal for Eichel that could include Frost. I don't want it.
Uh, I don't want it at all.
Yeah, I don't want it.
Eichel, I don't consider at that level, especially not $10 million a season like
Yeah,
he's
no.
getting paid
Yeah,
until the end of 25, 26.
yeah.
He looks great on Buffalo, but that's all Buffalo really has. Sam Reinhart's okay. They got a couple of guys that I'd rather have off Buffalo than Eichel himself with that salary. Uh, if I had to take a stab at it, I think Boston's more suited. They have a lot more cap space and are sniffing around a lot more for him. The Flyers don't necessarily need that type of player. But if I had to do it, since we're being asked, it would start with a guy like Voracek to even get close to that salary with an $8+ million salary, and then us having to take Eichel back. I just don't see it with the fact that we're going to have to pay Hart and all those players that we keep mentioning, Sanheim,
And then try
Lawton,
to swallow
and
this
and
ten
then
million
try
dollar
to swallow
contract.
$10 million. Like that is
Yeah,
absolute, a lot to swallow. And I think only a team like Detroit or somebody
yeah,
rebuilding, Senators or somebody, are going to be able to swallow that much money.
yeah.
Uh, he's a good player.
I mean, don't get us wrong. We'd
He's
love to
above
have him on our
average.
team.
Yeah, he's above average, but for $10 million a season, I want the elite. I want Pasternak coming back if I'm going to pay that much money. I want,
You know, Austin
Johnny Gaudreau or
Matthews. I
Austin
want.
Matthews.
Yeah,
Yeah, as somebody at that level, not Jack Eichel. I think Buffalo paid him that so that he wouldn't go anywhere because that's all they really had, and Buffalo is not a team that draws people in like some others do. So they had to pay him that much money,
yeah,
and I would not want to have to pay him that
yeah. I'm
much
with you
money
on that.
for the foreseeable future either. I don't see that deal.
And I would also agree too that it wouldn't be. We would have to give up so much just to try to come to that $10 million. It wouldn't be worth it, even if it did include Frost. All
No, and,
right.
and you're not getting enough back in my mind.
Exactly, exactly. All right, here's the last question from our good friend Clarky Teacher. Who do you value higher, Zumala or York? Big Z looking good down in Lehigh so far. This is our last question submitted by Clarky Teacher on Twitter.
I guess I'm going first. Do you want to go first?
All right, I'll go first. I'll tell you what. I've been watching a lot of York play at Michigan. Okay, I've been watching a lot of his games on college hockey just so I could get some intel on him. You know what I mean? And I'll
Mm.
tell you what. And I know that Zumala has been playing really well with the Phantoms. Okay. Honestly, if I had to lose one of them and keep one of them, I would be okay with losing Zumala and keeping York. And the reason why I'm going to say that is this: York has got a tougher game, a bigger body, and more leadership. That's what I'm gonna. That's how. How's that for going first?
Okay. I see you there. With that, Zumala, I thought this season for sure was NHL ready, but we kind of hurried up and maybe rushed signing, scared signing, and re-signed Braun and Gustafson, so he couldn't. I think that the defense was young without him and would even be younger if he came up, so they
Oh
didn't want to
yeah.
do that. They didn't want to rush him along. Um, so he's done okay in Lehigh.
Yep.
He looks good.
Yep.
He's got a great first outlet pass. I love the guy.
Yeah, I do
But
too.
Cam York has put on a bunch of muscle over the offseason. He came back to Michigan. He right now has 18 points in 22 games. He's a plus 12 on the year. Not to mention what he did at the World Juniors, where in 7 games as a defenseman, he had 6 points and it was a plus 4.
And the
Uh,
captain.
and he was voted by the team as the captain of that team. When he draws comparisons, it's to Brian Leach of all people, and that's a heck of a USA-born player to draw comparisons to.
That's some hefty
Uh,
comparison there.
so I'm starting to believe the hype in Cam York, and I think he is less away than most people think from
Yeah,
joining the Flyers.
I agree.
And I think Zumala is great signing and was an excellent find by
Oh
Hextall.
yeah.
But we already have a similar players in Sanheim and Myers. I think
Yes.
he is the exact player
Yes.
that they are. Big body defensemen that aren't very physical, but are more in tune to the offensive side of the game. Where I think Cam York does have the ability to step up and skate through the defense and put some points on the board himself, but is more defensive minded. And in my mind, I wouldn't want to lose York. And if we had to give somebody up in a big trade or something like that, I would agree. And I would say that Zumala would be that person for
Yeah.
me. And that hurts me to say because I like both
Yeah.
of them.
No, I agree. I agree with you 100% because I do also feel that he's been playing very well down in Lehigh. Okay, and I also agree too that the fact that we did sign Braun with that knee-jerk reaction and they did want to go out and get Gustafson, I think that took away from him getting his shot.
Mm-hmm.
If this would have been a normal camp and a normal season, I guarantee you he would have been in camp.
I think if Niskanen was still there, I think he would be battling for that sixth defenseman, seventh defenseman, and he would beat out guys like Moran in my mind.
Exactly. So, but if we had our druthers, we would much rather keep York and let Zumala go. So that would still really stink. We're trying to keep these guys, you know what I'm saying? So, man, we really like to thank Clarky Teacher for submitting these questions for us. We hope we answered them for you. I mean, they maybe not be exactly what you were expecting the answers to be, but well, at least they were our answers anyway, right? So there you go.
Right.
So, so you did mention a little earlier about some coming attractions.
I have a couple articles in mind. I just have to have the time to sit down and write them.
There
Yes.
you go. All right. Cool. Well, we like to always hear about the coming attractions, that's for sure. You know what I'm saying? So, Lance, I got to tell you something, my man. Every time we do this, it gets better and better. What do you think?
I'm kind of biased to that. Yeah, I hope so.
You got that, man, for sure. Well, we'd like to thank our sponsors, cccresorts.com, for sponsoring the show and for being part of the Steel Flyers All Sports Network. We'd really like to thank everybody for tuning in and checking us out. I'm your co-host, Steel Flyers. You can follow me on Twitter at SteelFlyers52. And Lance is your host.
And you can follow me at LNGBASSIST. The number's 39.
Yeah, man. All right, folks. Well, this is another one. Thanks for tuning in. We'll check you the next time on the Hockey Writers Inc.